without deceiving ourselves, without mincing words, it's been quite tough. It's been quite tough, and that's just the reality. You know, as an industry stakeholder, we know it's costing you more to operate within the industry than it should have. It had to cost, and that's just it. You know, there's a lot of policy change that we now have in place, and coupled with the field infrastructure, the port access road, which has increased the cost of doing business, which in effect will affect the ease of doing business. So without infrastructure for a capital-intensive industry like this, you know, there's a lot of problems. So it's been tough. It has not gotten better. The same roads that we have been using for over 50 years, with fewer tonnage of consignments, the same thing we are using for inflows that have almost doubled over the years. So there are bound to be challenges. Those policies are good policies, but before you begin to execute those policies, there are some basic things that we need to put in place. The question you want to ask yourself is, are the infrastructures in place for this thing to be done? Only recently, this week, I was reading that a particular shipping company is also going to be charging an extra $400 per container, if I'm not making mistakes. And that's additional cost. And why are they charging that additional cost? It's because of failed infrastructure. So it's a good policy if the structures are put in place to work. For some time, before before this infrastructure became totally unpliable, we were spending an average of 1.5 million to fill potholes on a weekly basis, so that transferred consignment would not fall on the roads. There were so many times that we will have to take our container handler out to go and salvage falling containers that does not even belong to us. So all these are costs that we cannot recoup, and these costs are coming from our earnings. So it's really, really tough, and it has affected us so much that in terms of cost, in terms of the consignment you can handle, because of failed infrastructure, you cannot move what you are projected to move. And there are days when the whole road is totally closed in a whole day. As I talk to you now, I have close to 1,000 containers to move. Normally, I don't charge for such consignments until they get here. So you cannot imagine having consignments that are trapped in the port for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks. We are losing money. Because by the time those containers come here, they will still get their mandatory 3 days free period. And at the end of it, oh, what do we gain? So most of the consignees are ready to pick the containers. So the little we should have been gaining from storage charges, we couldn't. Because of course the agent will have perfected their paper even before the containers get here. The truth of the matter is the off-dock business is almost dead. Most off-dock have gone under until recently that the issue of holding bay came up. Because of failed infrastructure, the quantity of consignment coming in reduced, and for you to move to, because the essence of the off-dock is to ease congestion in the port. That was the origin. But if the main port are not even filled, so what are you going to be shedding? So those were the issues. Until we started this congestion because of fair road and empties coming in. So it is only, most of the off-dock that we used to have now are more like empty container holding bays. They were gone. A lot have gone under. And you know, because of our own case is a peculiar case, because we're about the only off-dock that is a member of a group of a total industry sector. You know, we're a member of a group of SIFAX Group that is also the owner of Ports and Cargo, terminal operator in Terminal C, Tinkan Island. We are also in the same group with SIFAX Haulage and Logistics that has about 75 trucks. So you don't get that with anybody. It is only SIFAX that has that. So you can see the difference between also containers that are stemmed to our port can be moved easily because we also have trucks. I'm sure you are aware of the charges of trucks these days. And all boils down to the fact of the failed infrastructure, because what trucks we do in 2 days is taking them 1-2 weeks to do now. I'll talk to you in TUs, okay? Before now, we've been in the region of 18,000 TUs, but last year we did well over 25,000 TUs, and this year we have crossed 20,000 TUs as at last month. But we have the capacity to do more.
What is your capacity?
We shouldn't be doing less than 36,000 TUs if things are put in proper perspective. Okay? And the more, the merrier. The more jobs we create, the more equipment we acquire, and so many things. It's a value chain that the society will benefit from. We are also in an area where we are corporately responsible, so the environment will also benefit. There are some little jobs here that are reserved for people of the community. You know, SIFAX is known for its corporate social responsibility, and that is what we are, because this is our country. We're not going to go anywhere. I will not even call it an assistant. I would just want government to do their basic duties. We're paying tax, we're paying everything. The least we can ask for is for government to do their bits. You look at the roads, for instance, and I think people usually say the oil, probably because of the external revenue we get from the oil and gas industry, we say is the first. But I always tell people, without the maritime industry, there's no oil sector. Because the maritime sector is the gateway to the economy. And these are the two biggest ports in Nigeria. And the access roads have failed. If you have seen what happens. The port access roads in other climes are always the best roads. So the government must be willing to take the bull by the horn, because the situation we'll find ourselves on these infrastructural matters, especially the roads, for me, calls for a declaration of emergency. It's an emergency situation. And this is an industry that is generating funds to run the economy. So are we going to be mixing politics with business? That is why government will never be in the best position to run businesses. So that is where we find ourselves. For me, I feel the way this road is, they should declare emergency. Yes, road contracts have been awarded, but you want to agree with me that the pace of work is slow. The Apapa Ijora axis is big, but come to this area. I'm sure it was so easy for you, quote and unquote, to get here. And people can go on the pages of newspaper or in the media and say we are doing this, the policy are there. But you need to be here to really see. We travel every day to come and to go. And that is it for you. So if the government can declare this state of emergency on this road. Probably close one portion, do a palliative on this certain area, and open up the other one that is better and partition it into two. When they are done with that, they can move to the other side. It's a lot of money, but it's something that is going to pay us in the future. And I also don't believe that this construction should be given to one construction company, because it's an emergency we have on hand, just like what is going on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. You have two different construction companies working on that axis. Why can't we have two working here? Why can't we have three working here? Because it's an emergency. So I believe the government have the willpower, they have the wherewithal, and they can do something. Of recent, some stakeholders came together to do a particular portion of this road. They have spent over 500 million for the little palliatives that we have there.